It's Monday, April 1st. I am starting a clip now because I figured why not. First of all, I just have to say I hate April Fools so much. Hate it. I'm such a big bah humbug grump when it comes to April Fools, but that's neither here nor there. I am starting a clip because I realized that today is the start of 30 and 30, which is a manga reading challenge hosted by Izzy from Happy for Now and Shay, both of whom I will link in the description. And the goal is essentially to read 30 volumes of manga, any combination of manga, in the next 30 days. So I always like taking part because it helps me get through a lot of manga, essentially like what I've been meaning to read, but also stuff I've been meaning to try out. So I have some manga from the library that I showed in like a video 2 weeks ago, I think. So essentially, volumes 11 and 12 of Zom 100, volumes 1 through 3 of Ascendance of a Bookworm, volumes 1 and 2 of I Am a Cat Barista. And then today I stopped by the library to see what I could grab, and excitingly, I got a couple things. So I picked up volumes 2 and 3 of Death Note. This is a classic where I've only read the first volume. I own an anniversary edition of the first volume. Read it, really enjoyed it. I know the story beats, and I know it just vaguely through cultural osmosis. So I'm excited to actually read Death Note for what it is by itself and continue the rest of the series. And then I also picked up Kaiju number 8 to volumes 1 and 2. I've been hearing some good stuff about this. You know, I like a good kaiju story. I love Pacific Rim, love Godzilla, so I'm excited to try these out and see how they go. I don't really know too much about it other than, you know, kaiju and fighting and stuff. So that's to start with. I don't know what else I'm going to pick up. I have to see what I want to read, what I have on my TBR, just anything that looks interesting and sounds interesting that I can get from my library, because my library is actually pretty awesome with all of the manga that I can get. And even though my branch that is right next to my work is pretty small, the manga section is actually really large, and I actually took some B-roll video, so I will put that in now. Hello, it is Friday night, so I thought I would switch things up. You know, I'm still figuring things out, so I'm going to have my weekly wrap up consist of everything from Sunday to Friday. That way I can film on Friday night, like finish up on Friday night, edit over the weekend, and then have something up by Sunday. So I think that is going to work a little bit better. Maybe we'll see how it goes, because April is my birthday month and my husband's birthday month, so we've got a lot of stuff going on, so we'll see. We'll see how it works out. So this week was my birthday. April 3rd was my birthday. I turned 39. It's a very weird year for me. Not sure how I'm feeling about 40 right on the quarter, but life is life. What have I read and finished and done since my last video? I don't have the library book with me anymore because I already took it back to the library, but I did finish The Mysterious Case of the Alperton Angels by Janice Hallett. As I thought, once I got into the book, it was just a page turner. I was just flipping and going, because it is mixed media. It is text, it is emails, it is phone calls, transcribed, recorded conversations, stuff like that, as this author who has been hired to write a book on the case about this minor cult called the Alperton Angels starts researching into the book. I thought it was good mystery at first. I was really enjoying it, and I was really enjoying seeing how things were unfolding as she researched further. And I liked that she actually wasn't a great character. She was actually kind of a terrible person at times. So a lot of that character work came through in mixed media, which I think Janice Hallett did a really good job of portraying who this character is and what she's like. And the same with two other characters who I would consider secondary main characters. Oliver, who is another author who's also writing a book on the Alperton Angels that our main character Amanda kind of knew back in the day, and they have like a history. And then Erin, who is Amanda's transcriber. So every time we get a transcription of these recorded conversations, Erin is there in parentheses doing her little cute little parenthetical aside. So you get a feel for who she is as a character. So like I said, I was enjoying it. And then I feel like around the 70% mark, the book kind of jumped the shark for me. And I don't want to kind of say why, in what terms it jumped the shark for me, because I feel like saying too much will kind of not spoil the mystery, but spoil the journey towards the reveals. So I think it was just, it went a little too far. It went a little too far in terms of like what the mystery behind the angels are, what the mystery of the case is, what the mystery of her research is. And it was so good. It was doing so well. And I reached the end and I was like, wow, really? That's what she came up with at the end? That? So I ended up giving it a 3.5. I think Janice Hallett is still great, very good at what she's doing in terms of using mixed media to tell mysteries. I think that is so cool. So I am going to continue reading her because I really enjoy how she tells stories via that medium, and I like her mysteries. I just didn't like the very end of where this one went. So 3.5, I'm going to continue to read her. The next thing I finished was the manga I Am a Cat Barista Volume 1. Let me make sure that light's working. It's a little shiny because it's a library copy. So there's that. And here's Volume 2. I think, did I do that backwards? Kinda. Whatever. It's a cat man. So I read Volume 1. It is very cute. Essentially, it's the story of this cafe run by this cat barista. It's kind of magical in that it only shows up when a very stressed out person really needs the cafe to show up. And the cat, his whole shtick is that he makes the drink that person needs in that moment. And usually that drink is something that helps them with their anxiety, with their worries, with their troubles, and it just kind of helps them mellow out. And he's just like an ear to listen to their problems. So it was kind of broken up in a slice of life kind of way, where we follow about 3 or 4 different characters as they interact with this cafe. I liked that. I liked it. It was cute. It was cozy. It was sentimental. And while I enjoyed it, I did not read Volume 2, and I don't think I'll continue on with this because I don't see a case or a scenario where I want more of this. So I enjoyed this first volume. I enjoyed what this series is doing, but it's just not something that I'm going to continue on. And I'm going to be completely honest. I feel like the way this cat barista is drawn leans more towards the it leans a little too furry for my taste. I have no issues with people who are furries or into furry stuff, but it just leans a little too furry for me. So just like, I mean, look at him, he's ripped. Like, that is a ripped cat, come on. Anyways, so it's fun, it's cute, it's cozy. If it sounds like it's interesting to you, absolutely check it out because it's great for what it's doing. But I had a good time with the first volume, and I am totally okay with what I got, and I'm gonna leave it at that. With the next thing I finished, I started No Gods, No Monsters by Cadwell Turnbull, completely on a whim because it was available through my library on Libby, so I did it on audio, and I was super into it right away. This is essentially a literary speculative book. It leans a lot more literary character-driven story than it does the speculative aspect of it. The speculative stuff is there. It is woven throughout the entire story, but I think the thematic part of the book and the goal of the book is more literary than it is genre fiction. So essentially this is a world, our world, and this one character, this woman, her brother is killed by police, and she gets video of body cam footage of his murder, and it turns out that he was actually a werewolf, and she releases this video, and other events happen that show the world that werewolves and other monsters exist. And the book, so I don't know that I would recommend this book to anybody who is looking to come into it as a genre fiction book. I just would not, period. So there's a lot of interesting ideas here. There is the urban fantasy aspect of it where monsters are coming to light. There are secret societies of monsters that are, you know, pulling the strings. There are dragons, there are witches, there is this one character who kind of like is stuck in this like power he doesn't understand, where he can go into any time period, any universe, alternate realities, and just visit, you know, overlook stuff like that. So it's very hard to explain, but I think it was just, there were a lot of really cool ideas, and I think the most interesting part of this is that Turnbull was using the speculative genre aspects to interrogate police brutality, to interrogate protests and violence as protest, to interrogate racism, to interrogate classism, socialism. So it was really, really interesting seeing the character work he was doing to as a backup sort of, no, what am I saying? The character work he was doing, using it to interrogate these big ideas through a speculative lens. So I was really into that. Now, because this is literary, because this is so character driven, there are many characters that we follow. And I think Turnbull even mentions it somewhere in his acknowledgements, I think. He says something like, I know there are too many characters, I'm sorry, which I appreciated, because there are. We follow quite a few characters in different parts of this. We follow characters who are grappling with the idea of monsters being out there, following characters who are behind the scenes, part of these secret societies. So it was interesting, but that was kind of to the book's detriment for me, because every time I would get super into one character's point of view, we would switch off and we'd go to another character, and then I would be super into what they were going through, then we would switch off. And the one section that I found so interesting and I really enjoyed was being in the point of view of the one character who kind of jumps realities and stuff, because it really kind of opened up a lot of the book and a lot of themes that I just found so good. And then the character section ends and we move on to characters I didn't like. So it was such an interesting book, and it was such a great way to interrogate so many big ideas using speculative fiction, which I think is so important. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would like, or I thought I would from the very start of the book, because I thought it started out so strong, and then I realized just how literary this book was, and for the most part it takes a lot for me to get into super literary fiction. So I still recommend it because I think it's a great book on its own. It just didn't exactly do what I wanted out of it, so I gave it 3.5, kind of rounding up to 4 stars, because I think it deserves to be read. I think this book is so underrated and it absolutely deserves to be read. Okay, so on to what I'm currently reading. I am still reading Terraform. I've read one more story since last week, still going good. I am paused on The Name of All Things. I think my frustration in this book, I need to take a step back and just give it some time and come back to it when I'm ready, because I talked about it at length in my last video. The frustration of the storytelling is really getting to me, even though I like the story and I want more. So I need to just put it on pause, just a pause. I'm not DNFing, I'm putting it on pause, and I will take a step back and come back to it, you know, in a couple of weeks and see how I feel. What's next? Book haul. So it's my birthday. I got some birthday money. I bought some books. I did not go all out because I am still on a book buying ban, so I am still adhering to that. But there were books that I really wanted to get this year. I couldn't really find all of them at my Barnes & Noble when I went. I went on my birthday after work. Couldn't find everything I wanted, but I did grab three books. So these are the three I picked up on my birthday. So the first is a book that was one of my anticipated one I planned to buy for sure this year. This is The Woods All Black by Lee Mandello. I loved Feed Them Silence by this author last year. It was one of my favorite speculative novellas of last year. And I'm not a fan of Gothic fiction in any way, shape, or form. Gothic tends to be an anti-buzzword for me, but I really like Lee Mandello's writing and his ideas, so I am going to give this a chance. It's a novella, it's short, so it's historical kind of horror. It's about a trans nurse after World War I or II, one of the Great Wars, set in the 1920s Appalachia, set after in World War II. I will link to my friend Ashley's most recent wrap-up where she talks about this book, and she liked it, which I was very happy to hear. So I will link to her video down below where she talks about it, because she is what absolutely 100% convinced me to finally buy it now instead of waiting, you know, a couple of months, you know, when I think about it again. So there's that. I also bought The Butcher of the Forest by Primi Mohammed. This was, I wasn't 100% sure about it. It's a short little novella, speculative novella. I read a novella from Primi Mohammed that was called, I think it was, And What Can I Do For You Tonight? I will put the cover up here. And What Can We Do For You Tonight, I think. It was nominated for, it was on the Nebula shortlist the year that it came out. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed her ideas and her writing. So I am going to give this a chance. I actually read it. I read the first like 10, 15 pages of it last weekend at the bookstore. I didn't buy it then, but it did go onto my list of books to buy eventually. And it was there, you know, it was a book that I grabbed because I couldn't find other books that I really wanted. So I grabbed it, and because it was BOGO 50% off, I picked up to go with it The Tokyo Zodiac Murders by Soji Shimada. This has been on my list of classic Japanese mystery thrillers to pick up, and somebody in one of my, I think my first video, I'm so sorry I'm blanking on your name now, I will shout you out, I'll put your name right here as a thank you, recommended it to me after I talked about Malice in that video. So I saw it was part of the BOGO 50 and it needed 2 books to do BOGO 50% off, so I picked it up and I am excited to read it. Also, for book hauls, I forgot to talk about the 2 books that I bought when I went to WonderCon last weekend. I bought these 2 because there was an author signing at that table. I already had Chuck Tingle's book, Camp Damascus, signed, so I didn't get his book again, but I did say hi to him. I did grab Alexa Dunn's The Ivies because she was there and I really wanted to meet her. I follow her on YouTube, and she was so lovely. She was just so bright and so personable. I just really enjoyed talking to her, and she signed it, personalized to me. If you kind of see that, chill, don't kill, you know, that's how it goes. And then I also picked up Night's Edge by Liz Karen. She was also on the panel and then the table of writers who were doing signings. I literally just heard about this book from Beautifully Bookish Bethany. I will link her video down below where she talks about it. She just talked about it because the book 2 in the series is coming out soon. So it was on my mind as a recent thing I'd heard about to check out, and she was there. So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna grab it, and why not, support, you know, an author. And she was also really nice. She signed it and then personalized it, and you can kind of see she did little blood drips because it's a vampire book, so obviously she had to do it, she said. So those were the 2 I picked up, Night's Edge and The Ivies. They were both absolutely lovely authors to meet, and I'm glad that, you know, I took the time out of the day to an exhausting day to stop by and talk to them, because I love the idea of just going to panels and talking to authors and getting signed books by them. Now that I'm growing my library again, I just really like it. So hopefully I will get to these this year. Okay, so I forgot to mention, I put it at the end of my last video that my husband got me the Lego Wildflower set. I actually did put that together today. So I will put, you know, picture or video of the completed wildflowers up here, which they look so cute. They're so pretty. So I have them in this like clear plastic book vase, and my roommate suggested that I should put the clear and shiny blue Legos in the vase to help the stems stand up properly to make it look like water. So that's what I'm gonna do. And she said she was gonna pick up some of those Legos for me, so that's exciting. So on to my madness this week. So we're gonna talk about this stack here. Okay, we're gonna talk about this because the Nebula shortlist came out and the Hugo shortlist came out, and my crazy mind goes, oh, I've read most of the novels and novellas. Why don't I read the rest? What am I doing? Is it gonna happen? I think it's gonna happen. So this is on top of the manga that I had the clip in earlier in this video. I also got all these, so we're just gonna go through it. This is actually not part of the Nebulas or anything. This is Basil and Oregano. It looks like a cute little romance novel, romance graphic novel. I actually saw this when I visited the Ripped Bodice romance bookstore in LA last week with a coworker. I saw it on the shelf and I flipped through it, kind of liked it, so I thought I would just grab it from the library, and if I really like it, I'll probably buy a copy. So The Crane Husband is one of the novellas that is on the, it's on the Nebula. Okay, so for these, just, it's on the Nebula or the Hugo shortlist, both of which I'm going to link in the description. So this is The Crane Husband. I was aware of this book last year, but I did not pick it up because of the content in the book. It's using the old wives' tale, the old myth kind of folklore story of the crane wife, but flipping it on its head and dealing with domestic violence. So that is not a topic that I sort of gravitate toward, but I will be trying this out for the awards. Next is The Saint of Bright Doors by Vadra Chandrasekera. So this I was aware of last year too, and again, it just wasn't something that really caught my attention, but I like that this kind of came out of left field in terms of what is being nominated. Gosh, these books are just so shiny. So I'm excited. It's an Indian author with more Indian inspired fantasy, so I'm very interested in seeing how this goes. I hope I like it because I just want more books like this to get more attention for awards like the Hugos and Nebulas. Then we have The Water Outlaws by S.L. Wang. This, again, I was aware of. I'm pretty on top of new releases, especially speculative fiction releases, so I was aware of this. This has been on my kind of to-read list. It's been on my TBR. But I haven't really, you know, pulled the trigger on grabbing it from the library, so I will be reading it. It is a bit chunky, so I'm a little worried about that, but the pages seem a little thick, but it's sort of like gender-flipped, martial arts-esque inspired fantasy. So that's The Water Outlaws. This cover is great too. Really freaking cool. So next is Shigidi and the Brass Head of Obalufon by Wole Talabi. I like his short fiction. I think I saw one of his stories in Africa Risen, which is a Afrofuturistic anthology, speculative fiction anthology. He had one of my favorite stories in that, so I'm very interested to see how this goes. Not really sure what it's about. I just know it deals with Nigerian myth and the Yoruba gods, so we'll see how that goes. Next is A Starter Villain by John Scalzi. I do enjoy Scalzi. He's great popcorn fiction, so I find nothing wrong with popcorn fiction. I find nothing wrong with him being nominated for Hugos. I think, you know, the people like what they like, and this cover is great. Essentially, supervillain fiction, and I am always down for supervillain or superhero fiction. So, Starter Villain, that's going to be fun. Translation State by Anne Leckie is the one that I am maybe not dreading, but the one that I am most anxious about. So I read the first book in the Imperial Roch, think it's Raj. Imperial Raj trilogy. When it first came out, the year it came out, I read the very first book. I think it was Ancillary Justice. I remember enjoying it, but not really enjoying it enough to continue with the whole trilogy. So I haven't read the trilogy, but I think I remember enough about the world that this takes place in to read this without having finished the Raj trilogy. So we'll see how it goes. It's a bit big. It's a bit of a chunker. Oh, the text is a little big, so it won't be too terrible. So it'll be my weird sci-fi for the spring season, I think. Last is this absolute person killer, massive graphic novel. Do you see this? Do you see how huge this is? See how huge this is compared to this novel? Like, holy crap. It's insane. Okay. So, Shubeik Lubeik, I believe that's how it's pronounced, by Dina Mohammed. This is also nominated for the Hugos as part of Best Graphic Presentation. And one of my friends in my book club, my Discord book club, absolutely loves this, and she's been raving about it and try to get us to read it for, you know, pretty much all last year. So finally here, I'm reading it, Danielle. But did you know how big this book is? Did you read it physically? Because you could have warned me. You could kill a man with this. Like, this is huge. I'm gonna get like wrist cramps reading it, but I'm excited. The art looks really cool. So yeah, we're gonna get into it. This is gonna be, it's gonna be insane, but you know, we're gonna make it happen. It's gonna happen. I will renew my holds multiple times if I must, if I can. But we're gonna make it work. Okay, we're gonna make it work. You heard it here. Hold me accountable. I'm reading all of these books. I will DNF without problem, without issues, without any shame if I need to, because I'm here for a good time, not a long time, you know. There are too many books I want to read. There are too many good books out there for me to slog through a book that I'm not enjoying. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. Thank you for everybody who has checked out my channel after I posted the link on Discord and Goodreads. Like, thank you so much. It's a little weird doing this, and I'm going to keep saying that, and I'm sorry, but keep saying, you know, I'm figuring things out, still doing this, trying to figure what I want to do, but I'm just here making videos, and we'll see how it goes. So, thank you, and I will see you soon. Oh, okay, so you couldn't really see it in the video, but here's the whole Sailor Moon sweatshirt, right? Freaking awesome. And the earrings, cute little moon earrings. I got them on Etsy. I will link the shop where I got them from down below, because you gotta go moons when you go Sailor Moon. So yeah. Okay, last clip, I promise. I just redid the shelves, and I wanted to show off how nice this shelf looks. Did you like my favorites? This is like my favorite trilogy of all time. Nobody knows about it. It's not the best writing, but I love it. I have a lot of emotional ties to this trilogy, so I'm probably going to do reread soon because I feel myself slumping, and when I slump, I reread these books. These books, I read Ninth Reign and loved it. I need to finish these two. Obviously, I love Red Rising. I've read all three of these, I don't know, about 5 times, the whole trilogy in total. Just reread all of these a couple months ago. Still banging. This is the anniversary edition of Leviathan Wakes, the first book of The Expanse. This is Fate Inked in Blood, which I haven't read yet, but it looks pretty. Oh no, Robin Hobb, what are you doing? Okay, obviously the first 3 books in the Robin Hobb series. Okay, that's just gonna have to wait. And then just books that are current favorites, all-time faves. Cloud Atlas, it's a book that has kind of shaped who I am as a person. Here, the Mimicking Known Successes, love this book. I need to buy the second book. I read it as an ARC, so I need a physical copy. Bright Young Woman, one of my favorite reads of this year. These Burning Stars, one of my favorite reads of this year. The Tainted Cup, one of my favorite reads of this year. So yeah, so I like this shelf. It's probably going to change, hopefully, as I read more books this year that I get 5 stars and tend to be favorites of the year. I'm going to start putting more of them here. So you may see this change as the year goes on. Okay, I'm done now, for real. No more. End of video. Bye.